You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what He actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning. Happy Thursday. Happy Jupiter Day, as we love to say in the astrology world. I love to see people already in the chat this morning waiting to go. And the guys are taking over the chat today. Kevin, rise and shine. We're here for it. We love it. Julian, I'm not gonna repeat what this acronym means, okay? My Virgo rising is being a little bit modest right now. But yeah, we're ready. We're ready for Thursday. Let's go. All right, how's everybody feeling now that Neptune is direct? Because I have felt the effects so much over the past 24 hours. And maybe that's just because I'm clued in to what's going astrologically, but I posted to my Instagram story asking if people had experienced deja vu, and 9 out of 10 people said yes. Of course, that's not like an overwhelming response, but still, I thought it was interesting. Most people said yes, they had experienced deja vu recently. And I've heard a lot of people talking about deja vu and its association with Neptune being that planet of illusion, of dreams, allowing us to tap into other realities or other realms, which kind of plays hand in hand with that feeling of deja vu, right? Like, have I experienced this in another lifetime, on a different timeline, in my dreams? We don't really know what deja vu is, but I heard a friend talking about experiencing deja vu. And then, as you saw, if you watched our stream yesterday, the card I pulled at the end was the same card I pulled the first time I ever pulled from that deck. And then later that day, I did my own card pull and got the same card I pulled when I first did an individual pulling from that deck. Just kind of like wild, intuitive hits as well. And then last night, I had the most vivid dreams I've had in a really long time. So I'm curious if you had any crazy dreams too, or just noticed more connection to your intuition. Kevin says, I was tapped in extremely with Neptune. Okay, Kevin, yeah, we're here for it. Maybe you're getting some communications, intuitive hits. I don't know. But yesterday was that first day that Neptune stationed direct. So it's also important to remember that with any retrograde, there's a shadow period. And because Neptune's retrograde was so long and it moved so slowly, there are still, a couple days, a couple weeks even, where we might still be experiencing the effects of Neptune's retrograde or feeling that confusion, feeling that fog around our intuition. But for me, it was just immediate, like, okay, Neptune's back online, your intuition is back online, connection to spirit is back online, and also here's some wild dreams that are extremely vivid. And my dreams too felt like they had serious meaning associated with them. That was kind of the difference. Just Watching says, crazy dreams, mannequins telling me they're coming. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like your dream at all. Unless it was like a positive, they're coming, like, yay, they're coming. But that's kind of freaky. Hopefully you have sweeter dreams moving forward, because mannequins speaking seems a little bit scary, if I'm being honest. Seems more like a nightmare. So that was kind of the story that dominated yesterday, and we'll continue to feel that energy of Neptune, especially I think since it's been retrograde for so long, since the end of June. I feel like once it stationed direct, a lot of us were like, oh yeah, that's what it feels like. I forgot what it feels like to be tapped into spirituality and, tapped into my intuition, or to have vivid dreams, or whatever it might be. So I'm excited for whatever messages Neptune is going to bring moving forward. But let's talk about today. We have a little bit of a quieter day in the skies, but the moon is going to dominate the story, the Scorpio moon. And as we lead up to tomorrow's solar eclipse in Sagittarius, which is happening about 11 p.m. tomorrow night Pacific time. So for some of you watching, it might be Saturday morning that you're feeling more of the effects of the solar eclipse, or that you're seeing it, depending on where you live. In the US, we won't be able to see the solar eclipse because it's happening in the middle of the night and we can't see the sun in the middle of the night. So wherever it's daylight in the middle of the night, on the other side of the world, they will be able to see the total solar eclipse. So I'm sure we'll be seeing amazing images on social media taken all over the world, but as far as witnessing it with our bare eyes, if we live in the United States, we won't be able to do that. Okay, I love this. I have a Scorpio moon. Just watching, I have a Scorpio moon too. So depending on what degree your Scorpio moon is at, if you happen to know the degree, you'll be having your lunar return either yesterday or today. So I had my lunar return yesterday, happens once every moon cycle, once every month. So it's not this big major event, but I think sometimes our emotions can be a little bit more, we can be more in tune with our emotions when we're having our lunar return, because the moon is in our moon sign. And sometimes I've had lunar returns where I'm like, woo, I'm having my lunar return, like this is going to be great. And then the universe is like, actually, no, bitch, there's some things you needed to pay attention to. There's some shadow work you have to do, especially those of us who have Scorpio moons. But it's always a nice thing to know you're having your lunar return, because it can also bring really great insight emotionally. So that's the beauty of tracking the daily transits and tracking the movement of the planets. If you know you have a Scorpio moon, the moon is in Scorpio, you know you're having your lunar return. For example, if you know you have Neptune in Pisces, we've been talking a ton about Neptune, and Neptune is currently in Pisces and just came out of its retrograde. You know, because you have Neptune in Pisces, that you'll be feeling that energy a little bit more than the rest of us. So that's the fun thing about knowing your own chart and being able to sort of compare to what's happening in the skies currently. And by the way, I have had a ton of people ask if I'm offering readings. I will be offering them definitely in the new year. I might open some up in December, still working that out, but stay tuned. You'll be the first to know when I open up readings. No, the mannequins are definitely not coming, Julian. We're not inviting them. They are not welcome to the party. But I do love you sharing your dreams. And if you don't, I have like a little app that tells me the meaning of my dreams. I used to have this wonderful app, but they discontinued it. I always love looking up the meanings of my dreams. So who was saying, yeah, just watching crazy dreams, look up what it means if a mannequin is in your dream. Just like Google it and see what comes up and see what resonates with you. I'm really curious to know the meaning of mannequins in your dreams. Wonder what the deep meaning is, especially if you have, oh, the mannequins were saving you from whoever was coming. Okay, well, the mannequins are positive then. Maybe we do want them to come. But I think, it's probably those of us who have Scorpio moons. We're like, what is the meaning of this? We need to dig deep. We need to uncover what this means. So look up the meaning of that dream. I'm super curious. All right, let's get to today's transits. Finally, talking about the Scorpio moon, let me bring up the chart here. A current look at the skies right now. The moon is in Scorpio. We saw several connections with the Scorpio moon yesterday, making a square to Pluto, I believe. Let me double check that. I don't want to give you false information. So yesterday, the Scorpio moon, it did not meet up with Pluto, but we did have an opposition to Uranus last night and a square to Saturn. So that could have brought up some deep emotions or some more depressing emotions, kind of put a damper on things. For the most part today, the Scorpio moon makes positive connections. Although we can look at this Thursday, the day before this solar eclipse, the last day of this moon cycle, as an opportunity for release before we start a new chapter. And, we've been talking a ton about this solar eclipse in Sagittarius for weeks now, really since the full moon in Taurus. And the beginning of what we're calling eclipse season, these two back-to-back eclipses within 2 weeks of each other. So you might have been hearing people saying, don't manifest right now during eclipse season. This is a time of shifts, timeline jumping, a little bit of chaos. You can kind of view eclipse season last week and this week as the universe shaking things up in your life. I heard someone describe it as like a tornado. So you're kind of in the middle of this tornado and the universe, God, spirit is pulling away what is not meant for you in the next chapter, and then also picking up things that you need for the next chapter. So that can kind of feel chaotic. You might be feeling that chaos right now. But just know that eclipse season technically ends tomorrow night with this solar eclipse in Sagittarius. And I'm talking about release not only in the short term, but in the long term as well, because tomorrow's solar eclipse is the final eclipse on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. And these eclipses started around June 2020. So this is a 1.5 to 2 year cycle that we've been seeing playing out. Think about what's changed collectively so much, right, since the middle of 2020, and also in your own life. What has changed? What kind of transformation have you undergone? What realizations have you had? What information have you learned? Today's Scorpio moon is that final chance to let go. It's a waning crescent moon the day before the new moon, and this is a time of surrender, surrendering to the universe, surrendering to whatever timeline you're supposed to be on once that solar eclipse sparks a new beginning tomorrow. What's interesting about tomorrow's new moon and about the solar eclipse is that normally with new moons, we're like, yes, a new beginning, a fresh start. But because this solar eclipse, this new moon, is the last on this 2 year cycle, this axis, the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, this is a really potent ending and beginning all at the same time. And really the last 2 weeks, we've been in that energy of things ending and other things beginning. But the solar eclipse will really mark this pivotal moment of shutting one door and opening another. So today, while the moon is in Scorpio, it is a time, it's so funny. I don't know if you heard that alert come through on my computer because I'm not wearing my headphones today, but I just got an alert. Tomorrow, new moon in Sagittarius. My computer knew we were talking about it. So the moon is waning, the moon is releasing, it's getting darker, the light is getting smaller and smaller when it comes to the moon. This is a time to release as well, to go into our own shadows as well with the moon in Scorpio. Really dig deep and take some moments today to evaluate what is no longer supporting that next version of yourself. Release expectation, release doubt, release fear, release anger, release what is not serving you. Surrender to the divine today. Greet whatever the universe has been throwing at you for those past 2 weeks as an opportunity. Scorpio is the sign of death and rebirth. So when the moon is in Scorpio, we can experience this death and rebirth emotionally. And today's transits with the moon can definitely help us to do that. So let's walk you through them. By 1 o'clock today, let's jump ahead like 6 hours here on our chart. By 1 o'clock, the Scorpio moon forms this trine to Neptune. So you can see the moon and the water sign of Scorpio forming a harmonious angle to Neptune in Pisces. And we started this stream talking about Neptune. I feel like Neptune has really made its presence known in the past 24 hours as it's stationed direct. It's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm going to bring you crazy dreams. So when the moon forms a trine to Neptune, we can experience this harmony between our subconscious and our deepest emotions with the moon in Scorpio. And I really think that enhanced dreams last night, likely we could have some crazy dreams tonight as well. But since this trine is happening midday, this could even look like a daydream. Like, pay attention to what random thoughts are popping into your head, or even intuitive hits, like we were just talking about with Neptune. Those could be clues of where you need to be going, or that could be the universe, spirit giving you a little nudge, like, hey, pay attention to this. So if you're daydreaming, or you find your mind wandering somewhere, your subconscious kind of taking over midday today, pay attention to whatever messages are coming through, as well as your dreams. Pay attention to what they're telling you as well. This also might look like a midday nap, honestly, because the moon in Scorpio is like bringing up all this intense emotion, but Neptune is like, all right, let's just snooze. Let's just take a break. Let's take a nap. So you might feel a little sleepier this afternoon. I know personally, with Neptune changing directions, my energy levels really dropped yesterday. I noticed last night I was so much more tired than I expected to be. Literally was planning on napping today. 1 p.m., great time to nap if you're in Pacific time. But yeah, and I would imagine, I think sometimes, at least for me, when I take naps or like sleep for shorter periods of time, I have more vivid dreams. I don't know why that is, like the science behind it or the REM cycle or whatever. But I would imagine if you do take a nap today, you might have some vivid dreams or have some messages come through in your astral travels, wherever they take you. It's funny, last night I had a dream about my mom, and I texted her and I was like, I had a dream about you last night. And she's like, I dream about you all the time. I'm like, but did you dream about me last night? Did we meet in another dimension? You know, I was like so curious. I don't think she did, but you know, that was me. I think that's me as well. Yeah. I woke up, I think at like 1 a.m. last night. And then when I fell back asleep, so kind of that shorter period of sleep before I officially woke up this morning, is when I started having all these crazy dreams. So midday today, the moon forms this trine with Neptune. Just a couple hours later, we'll jump ahead 2 hours, by 3 p.m. Pacific time, we have the moon forming, where are we? A sextile to Venus in Capricorn. So a sextile is a supportive angle. The moon in Scorpio is supporting Venus in Capricorn. This is a really heart-opening transit. Venus rules the heart. It rules our love for other people. We'll enjoy being around our loved ones, being around our friends, really just being in relationship by this afternoon. But a sextile does require us to take some action. So the trine we were just talking about between the moon and Neptune is like this easy flow of energy. It just kind of happens. It's super easy. A sextile is supportive and is a positive angle, but we have to work a little bit to see the positive benefits. So I say that because if you are feeling like, oh, I have so much love to give today, or I wish I was around this person, or, you know, if you're just feeling that good vibe, don't be afraid to be the one to extend the invite to a friend or to a loved one. Or, you know, if you work from home, take that break and have even just like 20 minutes to spend with your significant other. Or this could even look like, you know, those of you who have office jobs or aren't around your partner, like I personally am, basically 24/7. We both work from home. That's why. But don't be afraid to extend the invite to maybe hang out later, or even this could look like just sending a nice little message to friends, to loved ones, saying like, oh, I'm thinking about you right now. And that could be the action alone to open up a really nice, loving dialogue, or make those plans for later today to spend with your loved ones. So this brings the possibility, when the moon supports Venus, for deep connection, especially with this Scorpio moon. We crave that deep connection, and our relationships will nurture us with Venus, the planet of love, the planet of relationships, supporting our emotions. So don't be don't be afraid to be the one to say like, hey, let's hang out tonight, or I miss you, or whatever it is. And that should bring you a positive outcome with this support between the moon and Venus. So we have kind of some back-to-back transits this afternoon. First, we talked about the moon connecting with Neptune, bringing that sleepy, subconscious energy. Then the moon by 3 p.m. gets supported by Venus, allowing us to connect in our relationships, very heart-opening. By 4 p.m., the narrative changes just a little bit. And this is the transit that's going to, I think, dominate the energy of the day because it is a conjunction. So we have this blending of energies when two planets meet up in the sky. And you'll see that here. The moon and Mars meet each other in Scorpio. Scorpio energy is intense. I know I keep saying that like this could bring up some deep emotions, especially when the moon merges with Mars, the planet of aggression, the planet of impulse, our animal instinct. So when the moon meets up with Mars, there is a light and a darkness to every transit, right? So let's talk about the darkness first, and then we'll talk about how we can take advantage of this energy. I like to, what is that saying? Do you want the good news or the bad news? I always get the bad news first. So when the moon conjuncts Mars, this can bring some irritability. It can bring some anger or some harsh reactions to the surface. Remember, the moon is in Scorpio, the sign of the scorpion. If we feel vulnerable at all, we will likely lash out. And then that Mars energy blending with it can turn things into a full-out fight. Like, I am ready to go to battle right now. So by 4 p.m., if you're feeling more irritable, if you're feeling those intense emotions come up and almost feeling this need to act out because Mars is the planet of action, take a beat, slow down, maybe take some solo time away if that's coming up for you. This will be especially true if something we're deeply passionate about or our deep emotions are triggered, which can definitely happen right now with the moon in Scorpio. And we're asking ourselves, the moon is asking us to tap into those deep emotions, right? Like, this is the time to take note of what's going on before this solar eclipse. So if you're noticing whatever emotions are coming up, creating some anger, creating some frustration, try not to let those emotions get the best of you or take over your actions. This transit won't last very long. All of the moon's transits only last a couple hours. So we'll feel the energy throughout the day, but by 4 p.m., that's really when this will dominate, by early evening. So if you're feeling more irritable around that time, just know, okay, the moon's just forming a conjunction with Mars. I don't have to act on it. You don't want to do any lasting damage in a moment of frustration, right? Because the Scorpio moon conjunct Mars can just make it feel like we need to have our emotions known and seen right now. Like, people need to know how I'm feeling, and I'm going to take action to make them aware. So try not to do that. That's kind of the darkness of that transit. The light is that we can be more direct and assertive with our emotions. So, we just talked about reaching out to loved ones, having that more heart-opening energy when the moon gets support from Venus. If you are around loved ones, having those deep connections, this could be a powerful transit to help you share what's been weighing on your heart, share what's been coming up for you over the past moon cycle, over the past year. Whatever depths you've reached on your own, this could be a moment to share them with someone else, especially when it comes to maybe needs not being met or deep emotions that you've been afraid to show before or express before. This can help us express them outwardly. Just, again, make sure you're not doing it in a way that's going to cause lasting damage, or sometimes when we're really in that intense emotional state, it can be easy to see someone else we love and kind of take it out on them. That's the best way I can say it. Especially those people that we love the most are the ones that we tend to feel the safest with. And I know it took me a long time to learn that just because someone is going to love me no matter what doesn't mean I can just treat them how I can take emotions out on them. Does that make sense? Sometimes the people we love the most, we're like, we know they're going to love us as crazy as we are, whatever emotions come up. So we're just going to let it all out. Today's not the day to do that. Like, it took me a long time to learn that. Just take my advice. Don't do that. You're not going to feel good after. The other person's not going to feel good after. So when the moon forms this conjunction with Mars, really try to slow down and be intentional about your communication. We can be more assertive. We can be more confident expressing our emotions, or even just allowing emotions out, right? Having that outward energy. But don't allow that to come through as anger or frustration that is pointed at someone who doesn't deserve it. Yeah, too much sense. Well, you have a Scorpio moon too, so you probably deal with the same things as me. Like, these are my deep emotions. Someone needs to know them. The Scorpion side comes out when we're emotionally activated. So yeah, but that could be true for everybody today, not just those of us with Scorpio moons, because the moon is in Scorpio right now. So, and Mars is in Scorpio, really bringing that stinging energy. Slow down, watch your words, pay attention to whatever emotions are coming up, and don't assign blame to someone else for whatever deep emotions you're feeling. Remember, they're internal. They're all coming from you. Nobody else is the cause of how you're feeling. Even if it seems like, I feel this way because that person did this. Nobody can make you feel anything. All of your emotions are internal. How you're processing things is making you feel a certain way. That's just the harsh truth of it. So, Moon conjunct Mars, express your emotions, assert your emotions, be confident in your emotions. Just don't take your emotions out on other people. The last moon transit we'll talk about today happens at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So we'll jump ahead on our chart here by a few hours. Too many hours. Let's see. 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Okay. So when the moon hits 25 degrees Scorpio, it makes two different connections at the same time with Jupiter and with Pluto, because you can see Jupiter is here at 25 degrees Aquarius, Pluto is at 25 degrees in Capricorn. What does this mean? This is like a mashup between three energies. So we have these deep emotions with the moon. It forms a supportive angle to Pluto. This can mark a really pivotal moment in our emotional journey. This can be a moment of introspection or realization when the moon in the sign of death and rebirth gets support from the planet of death and rebirth. Pluto is Scorpio's ruling planet. So we have a ton of Scorpio energy coming about at 9 p.m. I really see this being as like an emotional breakthrough. Meanwhile, at the same time, this square to Jupiter is going to amplify emotions. So the positive to this is that Jupiter is the planet of abundance and optimism. And so when we're going through an intense change emotionally, we'll still be able to see a silver lining or be optimistic about the results of this change, about our future, because we're going through this emotional change. However, the shadow side to this transit is that if the depths of our emotions become too overwhelming as the moon and Pluto are activating each other, and we reject the idea of transformation, we reject the transformation that we're going through regardless, we might be tempted to reach for something to feel good really easily. When the moon squares to Jupiter, it makes us feel like we need to take action to feel good. So, Jupiter is also the planet of excess. Be aware of not reaching for that drink or food or, whatever it is that makes you feel good to feel good. For a quick fix, a temporary fix for whatever intense emotions you're feeling. Sometimes when really deep things come up, we just want to numb out. So beware of doing that, because you're not going to get where you want to go, unless you're just like, I cannot transform right now. I cannot do this. But again, like alcohol, drugs, food, not really going to fix your problems. So try not to do that. Just make sure whatever actions you're taking, whatever emotional transformation you're going through, make sure all of your actions are aligning with your highest self, with who you want to become. Really have that solar eclipse in Sagittarius on your mind whatever emotions come up, know that change is happening, change is coming. We're ending out a cycle, we're beginning a new one. Of course, there's going to be some intense emotions that bubble up anytime we're going through transformation. Our ego is like, no, we don't want to change. Like, everything's fine. Let's just stay the same. Change is scary. Change is inevitable. Change is a good thing. So really try to flow with transformation today. Allow whatever emotions come up to be lessons for you. And whatever actions you're taking, make sure they align with the person you're trying to become. I think that's really going to be helpful. So those are a look at today's transits. Loving all the feedback in the chat and loving all the guys in the chat today. I just have to say, lots of masculine energy showing up for themselves today. And I love that. So let's do an overview of today's transits and then we will pull a card. On this last day before the solar eclipse in Sagittarius, the moon is really ruling the narrative. The Scorpio moon is asking us to surrender and release what's not serving us before we begin this next chapter and close out the previous cycle on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis. So as the moon makes connections to Venus and Mars today, we'll be more willing to open our hearts and be in relationship with other people. However, the moon's conjunction to Mars merges these two energies and could bring some irritability, frustration to the surface, especially with the moon in Scorpio activating our deepest emotions. By late Thursday night, the moon gets support from Pluto, really activating our transformation, bringing those deep emotions to the surface, and squaring off to Jupiter. So our emotions will just feel bigger by the end of the day. Flow with whatever transformation is happening for you. Observe what's coming up for you. Allow the universe to remove anything that is no longer serving you, and use the energy of the Scorpio moon to clean your slate. Give you that nice fresh start for the solar eclipse in Sagittarius tomorrow. All right, that's my take. Now let's pull a card. I'm pulling from the Moonology Oracle deck, a nice little playing card size deck. So I wanted to pull from the moon deck since today is all about the Scorpio moon. I don't really have any major connections. While I'm shuffling though, I will say, although there aren't any exact planetary connections happening today, Venus is still in a loose sextile getting support from Neptune because Neptune moves so slowly. So we'll still definitely be feeling that Neptune energy. And also, not only is the moon flowing with Neptune, but with Venus also flowing with Neptune and the moon connecting to both of them, relationships really could dominate the narrative today. And Saturn and Chiron are still pulling away from a sextile to one another as well, allowing us to really focus on climbing higher in our healing journey. Saturn is the builder. It is kind of the teacher. It brings us lessons. And Chiron is the wounded healer. So we're still learning lessons in our healing, but we're probably at a place where we've learned lessons and now we're building upon those lessons. We're building upon our healing. Because Chiron and Saturn have been activating each other for a couple weeks now and will continue to for the next week or so. Just went exact at the end of last week. But again, these are two very slow moving bodies. So we're still feeling the energy from that connection between those two planets. So still an air of healing in the air. And I don't know about you, but my relationships have felt really lovely the past couple of days with Venus activating so many other planets, Neptune, the moon, and also Venus and Mars just came away from a sextile to one another, a supportive angle to one another. So our actions and our affection really supporting each other, going hand in hand. All right, there's our card. It just flew out of the deck. Love this. It's the new moon and Cancer card. So perfect as we are almost at the new moon. The new moon in Sagittarius is tomorrow. We've been focusing a ton on the new moon, what shifts this solar eclipse will bring. This one is the new moon in Cancer, and the message is you and your loved ones are safe. Cancer, the sign of the crab. You might even be able to see the little crab on the card here this morning. So actually this doesn't have a guidebook with it, but let me see if I can pull it up because I really love reading the messages. Let's see. I should have this just saved, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. There's a QR code on it, but I'm using my phone to stream live at the same time. So, tarotcards.top. Okay, we have a website, you guys. Thanks for being patient with me. Oh yeah, that is nice. Court, are you talking about the card? I love when the oracle cards match up with whatever's going on astrologically, especially because, you know, we're talking about the transits, and sometimes I'm like, should I pull a moon card? What if it like completely contradicts what I'm saying? But it never does. It never does. The cards always know. Okay, you guys, I found the site. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, digital guidebook. Here we go. Oh, pop-up blocked. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, we got the guidebook. Now we just have to find the card. Let's see. New moon in Cancer, page 48. Here we go. I do enjoy when the cards have digital guidebooks because I'm like, well, this is probably better for the environment. Yes, Kevin, be the light. I love it. I know you can't, on Instagram, you can't see my sign here, but it's always here. It's always illuminating the room. Okay, here we go. New moon in Cancer. You and your loved ones are safe. Let's read whatever guidance is coming through. Yeah, Court, I like knowing my people are safe. Of course you do. Of course you do. Okay, here we go. There is a new start coming in your private life. Something is rising up in connection with the people and places you hold dearest. This can be to do with a member of your family, a housemate, or moving homes. If you're hoping to move forward with something special in your private life, this card comes to you as a message. You can do it. If you've been neglecting your family, it's time to reconnect with them. If you've been neglecting yourself, you need to take better care of yourself and nurture yourself more. If your insecurity is holding you back, that's something for you to work on now. Doing so could bring you to your heart's desire. And the message says, attune to the moon. Make sure you put your family first. Let somebody get a little bit closer to you. This could be a new cycle starting for you, your children, your family. Meditation can help you banish your insecurities. And it also says spending time near water will bring you peace and answers, because Cancer is a water sign, the cardinal water sign. But so is Scorpio, and we have a Scorpio moon. So being around water should feel especially nurturing today. But wow, I'm so glad I read the description of that card, because it's all about relationships. You know, Cancer, the sign of the mother, the new moon in Cancer, inviting us to pay more attention to our loved ones, and also the new moon coming up, marking this new beginning. This card just solidifying that and confirming that there is a new beginning coming for all of us. But I love how the description of this card specifically talked about relationships, because Venus and Neptune have really been dominating the narrative for the past few days. And both of these planets rule our love, our ability to love, romance as well. So really lean into the Venus energy today. And I also love how this card talked about insecurities, because we have some difficult transits with the moon conjunct Mars and the moon activating Pluto as well, that could bring up those insecurities or just those deep emotions, which often, you know, are insecurities as well. So yeah, this card was absolutely perfect. Lean into those loving relationships. Don't be afraid to be the leader and reach out first. Cancer, the mother, one of the leaders of the zodiac, inviting us to do that. And this is really a great day to just have those loving connections, have those deep conversations with other people, or really attune to your love for other people, attune to your love for yourself. Take care of yourself as well on the last day of this moon cycle before we end out the cycle that's been going on for the past 2 years and begin a new one with the solar eclipse. My sister is coming to visit and I haven't seen her in 2 years. I'm crying. Oh, yay, what perfect energy. I freaking love when that happens. Like, I love when that's happened to me actually quite a bit over the past couple weeks since I've started doing these live streams, is I'll be kind of talking through the transits and thinking, wow, this is kind of perfect with the plans I have for today. I didn't plan around it. It just happened that way. So that's just so fun. And what beautiful energy for you to spend time with your sister. But also, on that same note, spending time with loved ones can activate our irritabilities, right? So when we have this moon conjunct Mars, it can make it feel like a little bit like, oh, I forgot that irritates me about that person. Our family triggers us more than anybody else, right? Yeah. So love this card. Love how aligned it is with the energy of today, the energy of this week. I hope you have a beautiful day on tap. I have a feeling you will. I hope whatever emotions come up for you, you're able to navigate with ease and pull the lessons from. Thank you, Court. You are attuned to the energies. I love it. And it doesn't require effort to attune to the energies. All it requires is awareness. If I've learned anything about really tracking the daily transits diligently over the past 6 months or so, it's that you don't have to make plans around them. Once you're aware of them, your life just kind of automatically aligns. Sometimes that's not the easiest thing, but knowing that, okay, these deep emotions are coming up for me because the moon is in Scorpio, and that activates our deepest emotions. That can be really reassuring. And then what we were talking about earlier, knowing how your own chart is being activated by the transits only adds a layer to that. Understanding where the moon is activating your chart, or where Neptune is in your chart, where Mars is in your chart, can be really helpful. So yeah, we'll talk more about readings when they become available and helping you actually make those connections if you don't already know how to do so. But I'm so grateful you spent this morning with me. We've been talking for almost 45 minutes now, and it feels like it's just flown by. The most fun way to start my day is with all of you. I'm so grateful you're here today. I'm so grateful you made the choice to align with the energies of the universe today and started your morning off with me as well. So I will see you right back here tomorrow morning, still playing around with timing. So let me know if this time slot worked better for you. I've noticed later streams, like in the 8 o'clock hour, tend to be a little bit easier for people to hop on to. So I'm still playing around with the time, and I think I'm also going to post a poll to my Instagram story in the next couple hours so you can vote on which time is best for you. So let me know, because I want this to be accessible to you, but I still want to be able to wake up with you in the morning and get this information out to you at the beginning of your day. So still playing around with time, probably going to stream around the same time tomorrow morning. There will not be an episode of The Spiritual Journalist today because God is the best secretary, the universe is the best secretary, and that's not happening, and that's totally fine. So we're just rolling with it. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I got to go get on with the rest of my day. I know you do too, but I will see you right back here tomorrow morning when we'll be talking all about this solar eclipse in Sagittarius and what energy it's bringing specifically for your sign as well. We'll get into it tomorrow morning. But until then, stay curious.
Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.